My name is H.J. Goodman, and I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. Hit subscribe. Right now, we are on our way to 120,000 subscribers, and this is just unbelievable. So check out my last segment below. I will go ahead and put that in the pinned comment. My last segment below talks about Ali Watkins, the New York Times reporter, and James Wolfe, the Senate official, the Senate intel official, who had a romantic relationship. Only problem was that he was her source, and he was leaking anti-Trump intelligence, classified intelligence, to the New York Times source. Now, this is not WikiLeaks. This is not WikiLeaks at all. By the way, I have a Second Amendment channel if you're into the Second Amendment and firearms safely and responsibly. My YouTube channel abides by all YouTube policies. It's below. I shoot a Glock 30 SF and a Glock 36, two of my favorite 45 ACPs that I've shot thus far, and I try to give content every day, or every other day at least. Ali Watkins' past tweets come back to haunt New York Times reporter amid leak case. So this is really interesting because there's this union of romantically involved people who hate Trump. There's no lone wolf haters. There's just teams of married people, apparently, married men who are having amorous relationships with their female colleagues, or in this case, a New York Times reporter. The problem here is that the New York Times is the biggest, believe the biggest paper in the country, perhaps the world. The biggest publication in the country. You have a reporter, if you have a reporter that hates Trump, that's bad enough. That's bad enough. If you have an FBI agent like Peter Strzok and the counterintelligence team that hates Trump, that deletes 5 references to gross negligence, which relates directly to U.S. Code 793F of the Espionage Act that should have indicted Clinton anyway. That'll eventually take place. This is all coming crashing down. But you have, and then you have Strzok. We can't take the risk of Trump becoming president. We have to engage in the insurance policy we spoke about in Andrew McCabe's office. So when you have people conducting investigations and they hate Trump, like Peter Strzok, you have people who are providing the United States with their own version of intelligence, which is really gossip and hearsay, and Christopher Steele, and he hates Trump. When you have people who are paying for that to purchase their own FISA warrant, and then through CrowdStrike, their own quote-unquote hack, Hillary Clinton paying for the Steele dossier. How many people hate Trump? You have the guy investigating Clinton hating Trump. You have Clinton, who hates Trump, purchasing a dossier from a guy who wrote it, with Russian sources, by the way, who hates Trump. And now you have a New York Times journalist, and I cannot say, let's just give her the benefit of the doubt. She might not hate Trump, but oh, by the way, she's sleeping with somebody who does dislike Trump. Maybe both of them don't hate Trump, but let's just say that they're leaking information, classified information that's detrimental to the president. And oh, by the way, there's no evidence of any wrongdoing. The whole problem with all of this is there was no evidence of wrongdoing. So this is not WikiLeaks. I start off by saying it's not WikiLeaks because there's an absolute bias here, whether it's your career or whether it's following the herd. The leaks served one purpose, not whistleblowing, to further a narrative. There were leaks about Carter Page here. Not leaks like, oh, wait a second, it was criminal or dirty or underhanded that this American citizen was being spied on. How did they just use a Steele dossier? Not those kind of leaks. Leaks that promote and further the Trump-Russia conspiracy theory. It is June 8th, 2018, ladies and gentlemen. There's not one shred of evidence that Trump colluded with Russia. The only collusion that we know is money that flowed through the Hillary Clinton's law firm into Perkins Coie, the law firm, and then into CrowdStrike, because they commissioned CrowdStrike To look at the DNC service is so nonsensical. We're going to look back at this time period and say, wait a second, the DNC didn't give their servers to the U.S. government. They actually just gave their servers to a company that they outsourced. It's completely nonsensical and completely irrational. And so, Ali Watkins' past tweets come back to haunt New York Times reporter amid leak case. So we'll go ahead. And New York Times reporter Ali Watkins' past tweets are raising eyebrows after revelation she had a 3-year romantic relationship with a Senate Intelligence Committee aide, now accused of by federal prosecutors of leaking sensitive information to journalists, including herself. So maybe the guy was stooping more than just one journalist, one female journalist. Who knows? Who knows? Which would be hilarious / interesting / fantastic in a very morbid way. In a very morbid way, I said. On Thursday, the New York Times reported that federal investigators had seized years worth of Watkins' emails and phone records. Okay, so I with all due respect to people who perhaps know a lot more about this type of thing and why it's, detrimental to press freedom, but I don't see any correlation between the Jeffrey Sterling and James Risen issue and all of these. I don't see any correlation between whistleblowing and what's going on here. This was done purely for political purpose. They say the DNC and Podesta emails were done purely for political. No, they weren't. Julian Assange does not do anything, and WikiLeaks don't have a stake, left or right. They published information that was detrimental and exposed Bush's administration, Obama's administration, Trump's administration too. Vault 7 is under Trump. So you can't say that, and they're all pristine. So, the phrase that he doesn't have a dog in any fight. Assange is just pure truth. In the case of Clinton, she actually was exposed, and she said, oh my God, well, how come you don't expose Trump? It's all partisan. And then her followers and her blind minions of just brainwashed voters said, oh my God, WikiLeaks is partisan. No, not partisan. No, they just published information that happened to expose corruption. And Bernie being cheated. Oh, I don't know. People being told it was a fair primary and $200 million taken. And by the way, what was it? Only 5 of 18, something like that. I tweeted it out. 5 of 18 Bernie-inspired candidates won. This doesn't make me happy because it's not that I'm voting for Trump, but it's a little less to do with policy and more to do with the overall picture. Trump's presiding over peace between North and South Korea. He's exposing FBI agents. So I'm happy about that. And Trump's personality, I like. I like Trump's personality. Do I like everything about President Trump? No. But he's a flawed candidate like Clinton. So when I say that 5 out of 18 progressive candidates from Bernie-inspired groups, only 5 out of 18 won, the rest just lost the primaries. I'm not gloating. I'm saying that with all due respect, I was right. When Bernie endorsed Clinton, he destroyed his movement. You don't do that. If you're not a threat to a political system, then your voice is not a voice of either clarity or a voice that people want to really run to the polls to support. Trump has that voice, even though you can say he's a billionaire, he's part of the system. He's part of the system, but the system's trying pretty hard to knock him out politically. The system's trying pretty hard to destroy him. I don't think we've ever seen this type of media collusion to just destroy one politician. And don't say Bill Clinton, because Bill Clinton did have that. This is a profanity alert. Do not listen if you don't want to hear profanity. Bill Clinton did have get a blowjob. That did happen. Yet another sordid affair with Democrats. That did happen. Republicans too haven't, but that did happen. Trump Russia never happened. He never met with Putin to go and hack DNC servers. It never ever happened. So here we have Ali Watkins. Some context. Per today, weird. Okay, so Senate Cohen testimony. There was a real come to Jesus at SSCI in June after leaks out of the Comey hearing. And then, the SSCI I read is Trumpster lawyer will leak info about upcoming appearances. Trumpster. Blame the committee, then use as a pretext not to cooperate. But this is a profanity alert. This person was sleeping with the source. And then she's saying, well, the word on the street is that a Trump lawyer will leak information. The word on the street is the word that you're getting from Mr. Wolfe. Okay. And then last night, somebody put, so it was your boyfriend, the security guy. Who is this person? All right, so after Cohen started talking to the media over the last few days, SSCI has had enough. Canceling and forcing him to testify openly is a very clear signal. Flare to the rest of the Team Trump. So you can see this. Oh, we're going to get Trump. We're going to get Trump. We're going to get Trump. This is not about. Oh, Trump paid a Russian hacker to hack the DNC, and let's try to, prove the payment was Trump's. No, this is the Steele dossier in action. All of this nonsense is from 2 intelligence reports. Ali Watkins is probably a very brilliant human being. She's obviously very accomplished. She didn't just, it's not all about sleeping or whatever. She's probably a great writer. I haven't read her work. I'm sure she's a wonderful, brilliant journalist, very intrepid, whatever. But she is just like everyone else in the DC establishment and journalistic public relations sphere. They're relying on 2 intelligence reports that I have explained endless times. Miss Watkins and others probably haven't read, or maybe they did, probably not. They just said, oh my God, ODNI, Russia report. Just click ODNI Russia report. Just do it now on the Google. Go to the Google. If you're on the Google, go to the Google. Annex B. Just trust me, it'll be fantastic. It's page 23 of 25. So Miss Watkins, the national security person in the New York Times, who's shtipping the Senate official, estimative language consists of 2 elements: judgments about the likelihood of developments or events occurring, and levels of confidence in sources, and analytical reasoning supporting the judgments. It's all a bunch of mumbo jumbo. This is all a bunch of double speak. High confidence, the most certain that James Clapper, who by the way told Chuck Todd there's no evidence of Trump-Russia collusion, the most certain all of them are is high confidence, generally indicates that judgments are based on high quality information from multiple sources. High confidence in a judgment does not imply that the assessment is a fact or certainty. High confidence in a judgment does not imply such judgments might be wrong. You're talking about an assessment. This is an assessment. Julian Assange and WikiLeaks have made that point. Had made that point long ago when they were talking about the ODNI report. This is $35 billion of American intelligence. The best we have is moderate to high confidence that could be wrong. Such judgments might be wrong. This is the warranty disclaimer. So when Miss Watkins, a Trumpster lawyer, Trumpster, she never called Obama Obama. How extreme conservatives or conservatives call President Obama Obama or whatever. You call Trump Trumpster. You just don't like him. You don't want him. You're circling the wagons because your side lost. That's not what WikiLeaks does. This has nothing to do with. Journalism. This has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with journalism. It has nothing to do with truth. It has nothing to do with. This is just, look, you're a New York Times journalist, and by the way, BuzzFeed knew about this, and I think she worked for Politico. And whatever, they viewed it as a plus. So I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be rude. I actually respect Miss Watkins in a way. I mean, you're probably going to say, oh, H.A., what the hell is your problem? What's wrong with you? Crazy? How a reporter's romance with her source muddies the FBI seizure of her records? No, actually, this is the Washington Post. But no, it doesn't. The reporter's romance actually helps the FBI. The whole point of not having a romance with your source is that, your source is not just giving you any information just to get the Marvin Gaye music, let's get it on. Sexual healing. So it's the whole point is that there's no sexual healing. That's the whole point. You want good information. You don't want information, hey, Lemmy, I gotta meet you tonight. Want to know why? Because Sessions is gonna be the next Keebler elf. Where would I like? Okay. So, red. Yeah. It's the Keebler elf story. You have to be the first one. Sessions, the Keebler elf. Yes, it's a crazy Trumpster thing. Okay, honey, I'll be there at 8. So, I mean, that's also, if you're Miss Watkins or anyone else, you're sleeping with a source. How do you know the source is giving you good information? How do you know the source is not just like, oh, okay, this is a profanity alert. I'm feeling I'm feeling in the mood, so I'll just go ahead and say whatever. How a reporter's romance with her source muddies the FBI's seizure of her records. President Trump's administration excels at muddying the waters. No, it doesn't. But yeah, that's Obama. Trump's administration is not perfect, but I mean, allowing Iran, stating that you wouldn't allow Iran to access billions, and then just saying, and then covertly lying to the Congress and having them access 6 or 7 billion. We can go on forever. Not a private server with top secret intelligence outside the U.S. government. Okay, so people were. Kenneth Vogel. This is hilarious. Now the FBI is going to find out what I already know. Ali Watkins is a damn good reporter and a hardcore Eagles. Yeah, they're going to find. Did you know that she was stooping James Wolfe, Mr. Vogel? What else did? Well, I mean, this guy blocked me on Twitter for no reason after his friend at Politico contacted me to remove a reference to him within the DNC emails. Just FYI. And he's a great reporter, by the way. Kenneth Vogel. I have nothing bad to say about Kenneth Vogel, but he was within the DNC emails, and that one guy from Politico, and I have all the text messages, DMs me and says, hey, listen, if you could do us a favor and remove Mr. Vogel's name. And then I look, and the guy blocks me. I was like, what? And I removed his name just to be on the safe side, not like because I don't have any allegiance, obviously, to the Democratic Party or obviously to Politico, just out of like professional consideration. And then the guy blocks me, whatever. Doesn't matter. But yeah, it was very bizarre. His friend's like, hey, can you do that for me? Another journalist at Politico. Whatever. I got all the receipts, so. Andrew M. Seaman, who chairs the Society of Professional Ethics, argued for separating questions about journalists' conduct from those about the propriety of FBI surveillance. This is not. This is you're sleeping with the source. That's it. Sorry, not WikiLeaks, not any other normal, and you're leaking information specifically against Trump, specifically to take down Trump. So it's complete partisanship. Complete partisan. And by the way, like, I'll just explain. There are good journalists who doesn't matter if it's left or right, okay. And then there are journalists who just focus on one thing, okay. Vogel, for example, is a good journalist who has, Kenneth Vogel. He actually exposed Clinton found the money flowing from the DNC into Clinton's campaign. So he's a very, very good journalist, Kenneth Vogel. There are other journalists who are good journalists. They don't focus just too much on left or right, too much on the right. They call it the way they see it. Okay? They call it the way they see it. Then there are journalists who focus only on trying to destroy one political party. And in this case, if leaks are meant to just for complete, utter, just pure partisan in nature, if they're purely partisan in nature, that's not journalism. You're basically a DNC public relations firm at that point. Give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hit subscribe right now. And thank you so much for listening.